Thank you. I want to thank the witnesses. Welcome to Congress. The debate continues. But you know, the heart of this is about patients who need health care. And I want to ask, go back to some of our patients and really thank you for coming. Mr. Gibbs, I'll start with you. What would it mean to you and to your son when he grows up if the ACA's pre-existing conditions protections are eliminated?
Thank you. It would mean that if something went wrong and I lost my kidney, or something went wrong and Peter's kidney declined, that he would have absolutely no guarantee of any right to health care, any guarantee that he would be able to receive treatment for that kidney problem that he was born with. It would mean that he was born with a sentence to lose a fundamental right. And I do believe that the access to health care is 100% a fundamental right. It is something we cannot exist without. I mentioned life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Healthcare, without healthcare, you don't have that access to life.
Right. Well, right. And it's not a choice that you made to have this condition or your son.
No, it is absolutely not a choice.
The luck of the draw.
Yes.
Yeah. Ms. Burton, how about you? What would it mean if, to your family, if the ACA pre-existing condition protections are no longer law?
It would mean that I wouldn't be able to afford coverage. I have an expensive hobby of having 4 children, and I simply could not afford to pay $895 a month for health insurance. And before I would do that, I would go without like I did previously. I have limited resources, and I use those resources to raise the 4 kids that I brought into this world so that they don't have to be a burden on the American people and society. I've done everything I can to be responsible.
Thanks. And Ms. Dye, thank you very much. Ms. Dye, how about you?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Chessie is 10, and for her speech, her receptive and expressive, she's 2 to 3 years behind her peers. It's never going to go away. She's going to have this in adulthood. Her speech therapy she needs it. In order for her to be a productive member of society, it's almost like life support for her. And what a lot of people don't understand, they kind of left, but your Republican colleagues, they want to talk about like employer insurance. Well, a lot of employer insurance does not cover speech at all. And the ones that do, you only get 10 sessions a year. So if you can please explain to me how my daughter she's 2 to 3 years behind, how is that 10 sessions a year going to help?
I don't think any of us can imagine, if we're fortunate enough that at the moment we don't have a pre-existing condition, at some point a lot of us will, but if you have children and you're really worried about how they're going to be affected, it's really existential. All of us can identify with that. But I want to ask each of you just to think about, just emotionally, what is it like and how did you feel before you had that guarantee of protection and you had a child who was sick and you had no confidence you could get it? Did it feel like it was your fault that your child was sick?
For me, I felt like, it was my fault. What did I do? Was I not taking care of myself during pregnancy and everything like that? But I also felt like my country, the Congress, was saying that my daughter doesn't matter, that her life doesn't matter, her future. And that's hard for me to take, especially when they kept saying that we are the greatest country in the world, but yet the greatest country in the world is telling my 10-year-old daughter she doesn't matter, and it's heartbreaking for me.
Well, go ahead. I've got just a little time here.
For me, when my son was born, the ACA was in place. Part of me felt like it was my fault because I had a kidney condition, and I felt guilty that he may have inherited it from me. But part of me also felt it wasn't my fault because when I chose to have that child, the Affordable Care Act was in place. I made a responsible choice to have a child who could be guaranteed the right to health care. An irresponsible choice is being made, but not by me.
All right, thank you. And I want to thank all of the witnesses and Mr. Morley, too, for his advocacy. Mr. Chairman, what we did here is there are life circumstances that none of us can control. And if you can't get a fair shot, that's about justice. That's not about personal responsibility. There's a lot of life choices we do make, and that's on us. But when it's circumstances beyond your control, you can't get health care because the law won't allow it. That's on us. And justice requires we protect those pre-existing condition protections. Thank you very much.
And people get sick and people die.